Hey guys, Hink here. Today we're going to be discussing tips and tricks for the Bathmate water pump device. Some of these are going to be applicable to like all pumps, but we're going to discuss it today, so hold tight, let's get into it. Alright, hey guys, thanks for joining. So my name's Hink, or I go by Hink. This is a channel dedicated to men's health and particularly enlargement and maximizing things like erection quality, other kind of more taboo things. And so I actually am a real medical doctor that developed a passion for PE, but that's neither here nor there. So let's get right into it though. And so today we're going to be discussing some of my tips that I've come across while using the different Bathmate devices and why I've been successfully able to put on over 1 inch in length and almost 1 inch in girth. And so the first thing that I would recommend is that when you are using the pump, you need to make sure that, so when you like apply the pump, you want to make sure that before you even start to get suction, you actually manually take your hands and actually like pull your testicles down, okay? That will prevent them from getting sucked up into the pump. So one of the things that, especially on this guy here, actually it's with this guy as well. Let me see if I can find it actually. So there is something that is called the comfort pad, okay? And so the comfort pad goes into the bottom of your Bathmate device, and it's supposed to make it more comfortable. I don't even know which way, there we go. And so it's supposed to like make it more comfortable there. In my opinion, it makes it harder to get a good seal, and it actually makes it more uncomfortable for me personally. So if you have a Bathmate device, you have a difficulty getting a good seal, try experimenting by taking out the comfort pad, see if that makes it more comfortable, see if you get a better seal. So along with getting a good seal, you need to shave your pubic hair. Hopefully when I get big enough, I'll be able to, like membership wise, I'll be able to actually get sponsored by something like, what do they call it? Manscaped. But yeah, we're nowhere near that level. But I appreciate the support. But anyways, if you shave your pubic hair, it allows it to get a better seal. The same thing kind of goes if you're still having trouble, you can actually put a layer of Vaseline or Aquaphor, which is basically just a water-based kind of moisturizer that's pretty thick around the edge. It should help you get a good seal as well, okay? One thing that also helps me is that, so I use the the extreme one. God, it looks so much it looks daunting almost. But if you look, let's see if I can get it into focus, but there's a little line right there. There you can see it. There's a little line that goes down the middle right there. Man, that's hard to show up. Sorry, guys. There it is. Well, kind of. So anyways, if you look for that, so you want to make sure that when you're putting your member in the device, that it's like smack dab in the middle, and you can use this as a gradient. Because if you don't use something to gauge your midline, then you'll like put your D in and it'll like go to one side or the other, and it can be uncomfortable because it like pulls on one side or one side is against here. You just want to make sure that you line it up like perfectly symmetric, and you can use that little midline to perfectly see like, okay, there's the midline position. I need to put this smack dab in the middle of where my D goes, okay? A lot of you are probably wondering, like, what's the deal with your Bathmate? Why does it look so intense? Well, to be quite honest, guys, I don't really recommend Bathmate. I think they're overpriced. This is something that I started working with. I am not an affiliate. I don't have an affiliate link. And in fact, they asked me to be an affiliate and I turned it down, guys, because I want to give you an unbiased review. But these little things on the side here, so I don't know if you can hear that. They're called like Hydro Vibes or something, and they're insanely expensive compared to what they should cost. But they do make your pumping experience a lot more pleasurable because, for some guys, they actually pump and they have a problem with sometimes even like orgasming. For me, I've never had that problem. And so, but this adds a little bit more pleasure, a little bit more stimulation. It makes the whole experience more fun. And it brings me to my next point, which I think you need to basically go into this pump really as hard as you can. And so what I mean by that is like basically as erect as you can, because now this is kind of my hypothesizing and based on some of the other literature that I've read in like Nature. I actually have an article on pumping. I mean, it's from a urologic journal, but it got republished on like Nature website. Anyways, when you go in hard, you are already putting like your tissue at maximum expansion, and then you use your negative pressure to expand past that point. I mean, in my opinion, that's like, it's kind of like obvious. You want to, if you only pump to a pressure that maintains the natural level of an erection in your penis, you're never going to get the appropriate expansion. So I think you need to go in hard. Now, I don't think porn is a good idea. I think that there are other ways you can do it. So like one hack that sometimes I use is I will go in completely flaccid for like what I would call like a warm-up set. And so in that warm-up set, I use the negative pressure to actually engorge my penis. And so that by the time I take the pump off after about 3 to 5 minutes, my member is essentially engorged, and then I can just use that moving forward. Sometimes I can just use some, stimulation, use my imagination, and sometimes I use pictures of my significant other. She's super duper hot. So that's neither here nor there. Another tip is you need to keep this guy clean, okay? It actually, in the kit I bought, it actually came with a cleaning solution. You spray it in there. You can use your hand or like a paper towel or even a little brush and like scrape around in there. The other thing I did recently is I just put the whole thing in the dishwasher. I was careful to do it in a time when, I didn't have guests or company that was going to open up the dishwasher and be like, oh, is that a dick pump? But it is something that it did make the whole thing a lot more clean than just me like manually washing it. A tip that's also goes along with maximizing your erection is actually using something like a citrulline-based supplement to get a good erection when you go in there. And so you could even go a step further. I have other videos on why you should consider PDE5 inhibitor, but that's more so not for necessarily growth, but for injury prevention and to prevent things like fibrosis. But citrulline can act in a very similar way, increasing your nitric oxide, maximizing blood flow. There's a lot of good products out there. Most important takeaways is, in my opinion, this is a terrible device. You take this and you push it into your pelvis, and when you're pushing it in there, you have a neurovascular bundle that sits right there at the top of your penis. And so if you're jamming this thing in there, and then you're also, using this force created to like shove out water, you have a dramatic and like immediate increase in pressure. And when you're using a water pump, you do not have any kind of buffer room like you do with air, because water does not compress. And so as soon as this water is ejected, you get an immediate increase in pressure. That can increase your risk of injury. So if you have to use if you want to use a bath mate, sorry guys, I do recommend you use one with a hand pump like this, because you can gradually increase the pressure that you use. And so you put yourself at a less risk of injury as a result of like gradually increasing it with the use of the pump. And it doesn't have that pressure going into your pelvis, guys. I would never recommend this. I didn't know what I was doing. I saw Derek's More Plates, More Dates video about this and literally bought it within 30 seconds of finishing that video, and quickly realized this was a terrible device, overpriced, and so switched to this and actually never went back, guys. But once again, you can get something like, even on there's a lot of different devices. There's like Lay Love, there's Mustang, and even on Peak Male Physique, we have our own like product line that is priced far below anything else. That's why everything is sold out and keeps selling out, because the price point is so good. But, you can get a good pump there with a gauge, and then you could know exactly what pressure you're using. Because, with these, you have no idea what you're using. Most people don't even realize that it exceeds 10 inches of mercury pressure, which is basically on the, the higher level. Some would argue you should need like too high of pumps. And so if you are, jamming this into your pelvis and cranking up that water, you're going to get, you're not going to get injured, but there's an increased risk of injury. And, and this goes even higher. This goes to like 14 inches of mercury. And so I never pump all the way, but you just need to, if you get a good pump with a gauge, you can make sure you're staying within a good pressure. And so I do realize how hypocritical of me to say, get a pump with a gauge, and then I'm using a pump that doesn't have a gauge. But guys, it is what it is. This has worked for me, but if I could go back and do it again, I would not do it again. And during the next restock, I'm going to have BD send me one of these pumps with a gauge, because they look pretty darn awesome. This should really go as no surprise, but make sure you use warm water. And so, you don't want to like burn yourself, but I would actually say hot water, because the hot water can help with expansion and blood flow and help you potentially get a better pumping experience. And so, yeah, guys, so these were my tips. Hopefully you found them helpful. I've been at this for, going on, like 3 years now. Will be this July of me actually using these devices kind of on and off. But if you need to reach me for any reason, you can go through my Patreon. I'll send you my Telegram link. We can talk, video chat, text, whatever you need. Of course, LeviathanSups.com. We have our test booster is out, our virility volumizer, and then our vigor is also there. Vigor is also on Amazon. And I guess until the next one, guys, thank you for watching. Sincerely appreciated. I'd truly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to my channel. It means a lot. Like the video too. That also lets me know that this is worth my time. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.